Hey everybody, I'm Chef Mat Burton, Vice President of Culinary and R&D at Dickey's BBQ. Welcome back to our Tailgating and Barbecue Series. Today we're talking brisket, my favorite, the king of the tailgate table and the favorite way to bring a crowd together. If you watched episode 1, you know the playbook. 1, game plan. 2, pregame. 3, kickoff. 4, extra points. So what do you say? Let's do it. So game plan, choose your brisket. I like a whole packer between 12 and 14 pounds. Now a really good trick is when you go to buy them, make sure it can fold. That way you know it's aged long enough and it's going to be nice and tender. Also look for nice white creaminess on the fat. If there's any gray, any discoloration, might have been around a little bit too long. So that's what you're looking for there. It's kind of your insurance policy to make sure that it's going to be nice and marbled when you're finished cooking. So when you're doing this, you're going to trim the fat cap to about 1/4 inch, square off the edges so the smoke rolls evenly. Save the trimmings for tallow. We'll talk about that a little bit later. To keep your slices glossy and rich. Season simple, because the star here is the beef. The beef has got all the flavor. You picked the right beef. So when I do my seasonings, make sure you've got a lot of pepper. You can see a lot of pepper in here. I use garlic. I use a little bit of paprika for color and onion powder. You can pick your own seasonings. The one thing I would say is kind of stay away from those smoked seasonings. Stay away from the smoked salt. Stay away from the smoked paprika. You're going to be smoking this bad boy up to 12 hours. All that's going to do is turn bitter. Not to mention, that stuff's expensive. So let's go ahead and pre-grain. Set your smoker to 250 degrees. You can use any wood you want. Post oak is a classic, particularly here in Dallas. Mesquite brings a bold, earthy bite. And here at Dickey's, we use hickory for a stronger profile that gives brisket that signature flavor. Now, bring the brisket to room temperature, which is extremely important. You don't want to put something cold into your smoker and lower the temp. So you want to bring it to room temperature while your pit is getting hot. You want to let it get nice and dry. Lightly coat it with a binder like a mustard or that tallow. Then season generously on every side. Do not forget the edges. Now plan your timeline for this packer this size. Figure about 90 minutes per pound, really as a planning window, but you're gonna wanna continue to check it. And remember to start early. Secret weapon is rest, which we're gonna talk about. So let's get ready for kickoff. Brisket goes on, fat side up. That way when it renders, it bastes your meat. Close the lid and let the pit do the work. No peeking. Keep that covered and closed for 3 hours at least. When that bark starts to set and the color here is nice and mahogany, check your internal temp. Should be around 160 and 170 is going to be my guess. And that's what's called the stall. That happens whenever you cook a large piece of meat. That's really when the steam that's coming from inside the meat kind of becomes the balance with the humidity on the outside, and it takes a little while for it to adjust before it starts to cook. So if it sits at that 170 for an hour, it's okay. Don't freak out. It's supposed to do it. It really is. So you can wrap it up to help protect the bark and push through the stall a little faster, but keep smoking until that probe was tender in the flat. That's usually around 200 degrees to 205 degrees. Now I mentioned probe to tender. We cook to tenderness, not temperature. So when you put that probe in, make sure there's no resistance. Think about it as hot butter. It should go in, easily move it around, and easily come out. Then you're ready to go. So you're chasing the feel and the texture of this amazing brisket. Now, the most important step that I think a lot of pitmasters miss is the rest. You have to vent the steam for a few minutes, let it sit out, get rid of the steam. Then you want to wrap it up nice and tight and put it into a dry cooler. I just put it in my old Coolman cooler or anything like that at my competitions, what have you. If you have a warmer, put it in that. But you want to do it at least 1 hour is kind of what the books say. I've heard other pitmasters say you should rest as long as it's cooked, but you definitely have to let it rest. The longer you let it rest, the more juicy it's going to be. This is where the juices redistribute and the magic really, really happens. Extra points. Slicing and serving for tailgating. Now let's separate the point from the flat. We'll slice the flat against the grain in about a pencil thick slices. If you want to go thinner, that's okay. Turn the point 90 degrees, and then you can cube it up for burnt ends. Toss it with a little bit of sauce or that tallow we mentioned, and put those back in the pit and just let it glaze up. It's an amazing little snack to use for your extra pieces of brisket. Now, for game day service, I love brisket sliders. Warm buns, a swipe of sauce, slice of brisket, maybe 2 for me, some pickles, some onions, maybe a jalapeno even. Keep sliced brisket in a covered pan with a splash of tallow, or I just use a little beef broth, over low heat so it stays juicy. If you're traveling, pack it in a hot insulated carrier and slice on site. That's key. Don't slice ahead of time and then go to your neighbors. Bring the whole thing over. First, it makes you look cool. Second, slice it, it's a better product. All right, moving on. Keep that food above 140 degrees. We don't want anybody sick at our tailgate. If you're gonna chill and reheat, make sure that brisket comes up to 165 before serving. It's gonna be super tender and amazing. And remember to put a little bit of liquid in there when you reheat it. Now, that's the brisket bend we love. Bark that snaps, juicy interior, and big beef flavor. Want a head start for game day? You know what? Why don't you let me and the Dickey's gang here help you? Order your favorites for pickup or delivery and build your tailgate around it. And if you are cooking at home, grab some more tips, timelines, and recipe online. I'm Chef Mat Burton. This has been episode 2 of Tailgating and Barbecue. Brisket that wins every time. I will see you next game day. Visit dickeys.com for more tips and tricks.